Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Hi, Lieutenant. How are you doing? Aw, did you find your land nav point, Lieutenant? Good job, Lieutenant. You get a
Expert Action Badge.
Put on your uniform right?
Expert Action Badge.
Show up to work on time.
Expert Action Badge.
Qualify on your weapon.
Expert Action Badge. Badge of Action.
Find your guidon.
Expert Action Badge.
That's right. Just doing your noble warrior task and drills, you get a
Expert Action Badge.
each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
Shit in a bag, Pogue. Badge of Action.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Action Badge.
Good afternoon, nation. This is KJ at Jose's Taco Truck, driving around the Functional Veteran Center of Excellence, doing donuts in the parking lot. And I want to start this off right, but I want to start the show off with a moment of silence for those that lost their lives at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. To the men and women of the greatest generation, we appreciate your sacrifices. And to all of my fellow brothers and sisters out there right now, we continue to love and hold you up and appreciate all that you have done. With that being said, I'm going to start out with a great thing. If anyone, any Navy guys or anyone has ever heard, there's a gentleman called Joe George. He was a young sailor that leapt aboard the sinking USS Arizona to rescue six people from the burning wreck. Everyone who heard the story, who told the story, family, friends, etc., said he should get a medal. However, there was backlash against that because he disobeyed an order to cut the line between the Vestal, his ship, a maintenance ship, and the USS Arizona. However, he saw the 6 men, threw them a line, and ignored the order to cast off. This failure to follow orders seemed to stand only in the way of George receiving any recognition for this formally. Joe George passed away in 1996, and a few years later, the son of one of the men that George rescued took up the cause for the medal, and now, after many, many, many decades, today a Navy Admiral will present George's daughter, Jo Ann Taylor, a Bronze Star for Valor, recognizing Joe George posthumously. And the ceremony will take place aboard the USS Arizona Memorial in Pearl Harbor, yards from where the story began. So this is an excellent closing to one of the worst moments in American history. And I believe that his actions, the actions of one affect the many. And he saved 6 people. Those 6 people went out and were able to continue doing what they needed to get done and lead lives and be successful. And it's amazing how the actions of one, even though it was in direct violation of what he was told, the actions of one get recognized for the greatness that it truly was. But with that being said, I've had a hell of a morning. I've had my own bit of headaches today. Because, quote the good book, fuck Comcast. Out of all the days where I need my stuff working properly, Comcast decides to have a fucking outage, and then decides that, oh, we should probably run a router update during the outage. So of course, halfway through this outage that happened in the early morning, the router updates came. But the router updates were getting pushed through the outage, so there wasn't really an outage, but there was an outage because we weren't getting internet or TV, but the updates still happened, but they were canceled midway. And god damn it, Comcast, you're one of the largest fucking internet service providers in the goddamn country. Stop being a fucking cunt! Ah! Jesus. It seems like every other fucking week I have a problem with you. There's no longer going to be the term going postal. It's just going to be going Comcast, because at some point someone's going to have enough. Not me, but someone will eventually hit that point. To summarize, fuck Comcast. Okay. Got a great show planned. I'm still going to be on for the long haul. I'm not going to screw you guys out of an hour because of my own fuck-ups with Comcast, how much I hate them. So I'm going to be here, and we're going to talk. And KJ going to get fired up. He got a fire in his belly today, gentlemen and ladies. I'm all ready. Okay. So, as you all may have heard, yesterday, President Donald Trump announced Jerusalem is where the embassy is going to be, and recognize that it is the capital of Israel. So, after I did my dancing and my eating latkes and everything, because haha, fuck you guys, we're the best. Jews rule. The Jews finally, after thousands of years of religious turmoil and some crusades and stuff, it's formal. We own fucking Jerusalem. America recognizes it. Fuck everyone else. We the best. Of course, what happens today? Violent protests have broken out on the West Bank today after U.S. President Donald Trump enraged the Middle East by recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Palestinians torched debris and hurled rocks towards Israeli troops, who fired tear gas and water cannons to disperse a demonstration in Bethlehem. Medics said 31 people have been injured by Israeli army gunfire during clashes in the occupied West Bank and the Gaza Strip, with rallies underway in the cities of Nablus, Jenin, and Ramallah. In Hebron and Al-Bira, thousands of demonstrators marched with chants of Jerusalem as the capital of the state of Palestine, witnesses said. It comes after Trump sparked fury with his White House announcement yesterday, which changed decades of American policy and sparked warnings from Hamas of a new intifada, or uprising, against Israel. Okay, we're going to pause right there, because, first of all, y'all dumbass motherfuckers changed decades of American policy. Well, let's go look up that fucking policy, shall we? Let's go look up the Jerusalem Embassy Act of 1995. Enacted by the 104th United States Congress in November 8th, 1995. It was passed for the purpose of initiating and funding the relocation of the Embassy of the United States in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, no later than May 31st, 1999. Okay, so this is the Clinton administration, everybody. This is good old Bill. This is I know how to use a cigar, and I promise that I won't clip you with the cigar cutter. That's a very unique way of circumcision, I would say. So, what happened was that the presidents, President Clinton, President Bush, and President Obama, would waive it. They would put it off for the next guy to deal with. So, from 1998 to June 2017, the relocation of the embassy from Tel Aviv was suspended by the sitting president semi-annually based on national security currents as provided for in Section 7 of the Act. Which I can understand to an extent. Like, I can understand during the Bush administration waiving it. I can understand during the beginning of the Obama administration waiving it. I can't understand, though, why the fuck President Clinton didn't just fucking go through with it, because really there wasn't, a war going on then with active troops there. So, of course, this has not been a change of American policy and decades of American policy. And no, this has been here, and it's been policy since 1995. We've just had too many presidents. We had one president that had a perfect opportunity to fucking enact it, and then we had two that were like, okay, maybe we shouldn't because, we got troops over there. That would probably be a silly idea. Now, I still agree with that statement. We got troops over there going through with it, national security concerns. But nothing stopped fucking President Bill Clinton from fucking signing this into office and getting this going while he was still in fucking office. But we'll continue with the article. Amid growing fears of fresh bloodshed in the region, the Islamist group said the president had opened the gates of hell with his flagrant aggression, while a pro-Hezbollah newspaper in Lebanon has declared death to America on the front page showing a burning U.S. flag. Bring it, motherfuckers. This morning, Turkish President, Recep Tayyip Erdogan accused Trump of throwing the Middle East into a ring of fire and compared him to a blender stirring up trouble in the area. The country's prime minister, Binali Yildirim, said the U.S. had pulled the pin on a bomb ready to blow in the region. Well, you fucking think. Did we not talk about this on Tuesday? We talked about this on Tuesday. I'm pretty sure we talked about this on fucking Tuesday, but god damn it. Ancestrally, that Israel has been the home of the Jews ancestrally for thousands of fucking years. Everybody fucking knew it, and for the longest time, we didn't have a fucking problem. All of a sudden, the UN decides, after all those Jews got displaced after World War II, let's get them over into fucking Israel. Let's establish a nation of Israel. Oh, no. No, we can't have that. Nope. Bitch, please. We coexisted with y'all for fucking thousands of years. We did everything together, from maths and waging wars and X, Y, and Z. But now, because we have a formal country, bitch, please. Y'all are fucking throwing a bigger temper tantrum than a goddamn toddler realizing he can't fucking play with his rescue hero. You realize that, right? You realize that the UN will systematically back its own creation. And systematically has. And you realize that Israel kind of follows you throw a rock at me, I'll drop a GBU on you. As a really good form of deterrent of, you want to play stupid games, you'll win stupid prizes. So, continuing on, Russia said today that it viewed Trump's move with serious concern and will criticize the new stance at the UN Security Council. Britain's Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson described the new stance as not helpful, while France rejected the unilateral decision, and Germany said Jerusalem's status can only be resolved on the basis of a two-state solution. That's actually a fairly reasonable idea, a two-state solution. Now, with that being said, that actually can make some sense with the two-state solution, where you make Jerusalem sort of like Istanbul, not Constantinople. It's Istanbul, where you have Istanbul is on two sides of the country Turkey. Why not have the Palestinian border and the Israeli border shifted, which I believe the two of them could work out, because it honestly, Rick and Morty said it best. It's obvious compromise. Half of the city goes to Jerusalem, half of the city goes to Israel, half of the city goes to Palestine, and put both seats of power right there. Literally, right there. Or do something like the Vatican, where Jerusalem is its own separate state between the two, but governs the two as provinces. That would be a viable solution. Now, I'm not saying completely do away with Israel. I'm not saying completely bomb the hell out of Palestine. What I am saying is this is an area of heated contention. And yes, the Jews won. We own it. But compromise is split it up evenly, right down the center, to where both parties can actively be a part of it. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, asshole, said Trump had bound himself forever to the history of Jerusalem with his announcement, and claimed other states are now considering following the U.S. lead. Okay, first of all, Netanyahu's a fucking idiot. Granted, that's the most least radical thing he's ever said. So, but he's a fucking nut job. I'm not a huge fan of Netanyahu. Then there's a bunch of lovely pictures of people throwing rocks and fires and American flags burning. The usual anti-Western bullshit. So as spontaneous protests broke out in Gaza overnight, the Israeli military said it would deploy several battalions to the West Bank ahead of Friday, while other troops have been put on alert to address possible developments. Netanyahu, asshole, said this morning that we are already in contact with other states that will make a similar recognition. He said the time has come and expressed confidence that others will follow suit and move their embassies to Jerusalem. Last night, he hailed the move as historic and said any peace deal with the Palestinians must concede that Jerusalem is Israel's capital. Once again, fucking compromise. Meanwhile, the Israeli military said it will be deploying additional troops to the West Bank ahead of Friday, when mass Palestinian protests are anticipated in response to Trump's move. Blah, blah, blah. More battalions moving, more guys going to the West Bank, more bombs, more bullets. Okay, great. Let's get to the good stuff. This morning, 2 senior White House officials admitted Trump's move could temporarily derail the Israeli-Palestinian peace process. You fucking think? I mean, I'm all for Israel, Jerusalem being the capital of Israel, and Israel controlling Jerusalem. But Palestine is just as critical to Jewish culture as it is to Muslim culture. And Jerusalem is just as critical to Muslim culture as it is to Jewish culture. You know, the problem here is, though, that Jerusalem is a Jew's Mecca, while Mecca is a Muslim's Mecca. So, you know, I don't really see... I see the, what the fuck, you're taking a holy spot from us, but at the same time, it's 2017, and we can be big kids without AK-47s and Galils going off at each other. All in all, it's a fucking nut house in the Middle East. I'm not thrilled. People are actively walking around. The military's going balls to the walls. They're loading up riot gear. And it's not a fun situation. And I'm not looking forward to the next couple of weeks of tire burning and flag burning and people getting hanged. And just, it's going to be a fucking nightmare. But this does nothing to make us liked in the region other than Israel, who's already a fucking ally. Oh, we could just wipe out all the Palestinians, but Palestinians are not just Muslims. Palestinians are Jews and Christians. So Palestine has just as much of a right to be there as Israel. The headache is, how do we make that a fair thing? Split Israel down the fucking middle. Jerusalem down the middle. Right down the middle. Keep all the historical sites where they are. Keep everything important where they are. One side has this seat of power. One side has that seat of the power. And if you live in Jerusalem, you're free to cross that border as much as you want. But if you run it like that, or you run it Vatican style, that will create a fair compromise. But then again, you know, common fucking sense is a superpower. Okay. All the usual players are here. The Palestine Liberation Organization, Hamas, Hezbollah. They're all fucking here. It's going to be fucking insane. I think it's hilarious that it's during President Trump's administration that this is being done. But, you know, like I said, no tact. Needs to learn it, especially if he wants to get reelected. No tact. Moving on. Let's go back to the Supreme Court. Oh, God, we're going there again. Jesus. Okay, so I'm gonna warn ahead of time. This article is very leftist. It's very on the side of the same-sex couple. But let's get about the cake and the cake shop. And an excellent point got brought up by Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch, the guy that got appointed by President Trump. And here's what happened. His startling proposal arrived midway through the arguments as Colorado Solicitor General Frederick Yarger defended the state's Civil Rights Commission. Those guys are the ones that are arguing that the cake shop did not have the right to deny making the cake based off of his religious beliefs. Gorsuch jumped in with a quick question about the remedy that Colorado imposed on Phillips after finding that he had violated state non-discrimination law. And this is what Gorsuch said. As I understand it, Colorado ordered Mr. Phillips to provide comprehensive training to his staff, and it didn't order him to attend a class of the government's own creation or anything like that, but to provide comprehensive staff training. Why isn't that compelled speech and possibly in violation of his free exercise rights, his First Amendment? Because presumably he has to tell his staff, including his family members, that his Christian beliefs are discriminatory. Yarger responded with, a training requirement is a common remedy that is used in many civil rights cases. And he's completely right. But then Gorsuch responds with this, but this isn't attending your training to Mr. Yarger. This order was ordering him to provide training and presumably compelling him to speak, and therefore and to speak in ways that may offend his religion and certainly compel him to speak. So what was just said and realized by Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch is that the training was private. It was from Jack Phillips, the owner of the cake shop, to his employees, which include family members, conflicting his personal beliefs, religious beliefs, stating that you had to serve whomever, white, black, gay, flying spaghetti purple monster, I don't know, but anyone that falls under the anti-discriminatory laws, and relay that his own beliefs are discriminatory. Wait a minute. Freedom of religion. You are free to practice your religion in whatever way you choose. That's why we have the Rastafarian, the Church of Rastafaria and all that jazz. Church of Weed and all that shit. We have that. And the order to provide training wasn't a state-sponsored or government-sponsored training, because apparently there isn't anything like that in Colorado. He had to actually come out and say, hey, we need to serve X, Y, and Z, and someone probably had to realize, but wait, we don't religiously or personally agree with X, Y, or Z. Well, we have to serve them anyway. You see the problem here? And what this can lead to, and as the article points out, Gorsuch has essentially declared that a law which requires managers to teach their employees about the requirements of non-discrimination law violates the First Amendment. Fuck. If that's true, then a wide range of civil rights law is at least partly unconstitutional. Fuck. Many of these statutes obligate employers to inform workers of their duties under state and federal law. That includes training on discrimination. Supervisors must instruct employees not to engage in harassment, unlawful refusal of service, and a broad range of identity-based mistreatment. Some examples of this would be like a restaurant manager with spiritual objections to interfaith marriage could decline to train her employees in their legal duty to serve customers without regard to religion. Or a hotel supervisor who believes that interracial relationships are sinful could refuse to tell her employees that they must let mixed couples book rooms. Technically, that is correct. With the way this is going, technically that's correct. How do you prevent this, though? Easiest fucking way, you take it out the hands of the employer and you make it federal. It is already federal law not to discriminate. No fucking shit. I can't hate on someone for being transsexual or black or gay or white or anything. I can't do that. Legally, I cannot do that. It's called a hate crime for a reason. So instead of putting the employer in that awkward position, what you do is you get a government or state-sponsored, hey, don't hate on anyone that isn't the same color as you. Don't hate on anyone who fucks other people that you don't like to fuck. Don't hate on someone that believes in another god than you. You're good. Boom. That's all it needs to say. And then just have the employer show them that. It's like, this is from the United States government. Bam. Don't do this. Because reading what happened in the courtroom, it was a bunch of fuckery, and everybody was everybody was jumping on this is the right to speech and what constitutes free speech. Like, a baker's creation is an extension of their free speech. A photographer's photograph is an extension of their free speech. However, a hairstylist's hairdo is not an extension of their free speech. It's a very complicated and annoying headache. But the general thing here is you can't coerce or compel someone to say something that they don't believe in. I think there's a legal... I think that's part of blackmail, coercion. There are laws about that already. So, in the end, no matter what, we all lose. Because either our civil liberties get trampled of where we're allowed to shop and how we're allowed to shop and what the businesses have a say in how and who customers are, or our First Amendment, our free what's the term, free exercise rights, our free exercise rights, our freedom to religion, our freedom to speech, those get trampled, and we can't say what we like or believe in what we like. This is not going to be a win-win, and this is going to be a very hard case on the American people. Yeager promptly explained to Gorsuch that all that is required in these training sessions is a demonstrated understanding of the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act. It has nothing to do with a particular person's belief. It has to do with ensuring that the conduct that was found discriminatory, which then led to Justice Kennedy. Anthony Kennedy is a bit of a neutral party in the Supreme Court. I like him a lot. And he says, part of that speech, Kennedy asserted, is that state law, in this case, supersedes our religious beliefs, and he has to teach that to his family. He has to speak about that to his family, who are the employees. Don't hire your brothers and sisters. Just get some fucking dudes. That way you have you don't have this headache pop up in the future or something. But then again, I try to keep my business and my pleasure as far away as possible. It's frustrating because you don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out. And I don't know. Usually with Supreme Court cases, usually someone clearly in the right and clearly in the wrong. But with this one, with First Amendment versus First Amendment and several other amendments, your free exercise rights versus your civil liberties rights, which many people have fought for decades. Yeah, something's going to get trampled here, and it ain't going to be pretty. Okay, I'm moving away to the Supreme Court. How about something funny? Okay, so we all remember Kim Davis, right? So Kim Davis was a clerk in Kentucky that refused to give a marriage license to David Ermold because he was gay. So what does David Ermold do? Well, he returns to the Rowan County Courthouse to file to run for the Rowan County clerk, to take Kim Davis's job. And it is a great picture. It is a fantastic picture of David Ermold filing the paperwork with the county clerk, Kim Davis, who denied him his marriage certificates, who denied him his marriage licenses. And she looks pissed. She looks pissed, guys. I mean, she's sitting there going, God damn it. Ermold filed to run for county clerk on Wednesday, hoping to challenge the woman who 2 years ago told him God's authority prohibited her from complying with a U.S. Supreme Court decision that effectively legalized gay marriage nationwide. Ermold and others sued. Davis would spend 5 days in jail for disobeying a federal judge's order. She emerged a rapturous rally on the jailhouse lawn, arm in arm with a Republican presidential candidate as a newly crowned martyr for some conservatives. In the 2 years since then, things have quieted down in this Appalachian town, previously known for a college basketball team at Morehead State University. And Davis announced she would run for re-election and face voters for the first time since refusing to issue marriage licenses. including her previous opponent, Elwood Caldwell Jr., who lost her by 23 votes, and David Ermold, the man she denied a marriage license to. I think we need to deal with the circumstances and the consequences of what happened, David Ermold says. I don't think the other candidates are looking at a larger message. I have an obligation here, really, to do this and set things right. Wednesday, Ermold and his husband sat across the desk from Davis as they filed his paperwork to run for office. Davis smiled and welcomed them, chatting with them about the state retirement system and the upcoming Christmas holiday. She made sure Ermold had all of his paperwork and signatures to file for office, softly humming the old hymn, Jesus Paid It All, as her fingers clacked across the keyboard. Bitch, why couldn't you have done this 2 years ago? Why couldn't you have done this instead of creating a huge fucking stint? Oh, it goes against my First Amendment rights. Now, this is a point, a very good point. When you sign up for a government job, be it the DOD, DHS, local, whatever, when you sign up for a public office or you work for a public office, your fucking opinion does not matter. Whatever the president, Congress, or the Department of Justice puts out, that is your goddamn opinion while you're at work. Period, end quote. If an outsider asks you, hey, what do you think about President Trump? Okay. Don't talk about it. Don't let your personal fucking feelings affect your public office, because then it does not become a matter of, oh, well, like in this private company with the cake and the goddamn, the cake and the gay couple, it isn't a private entity versus a private entity. Now it becomes a member of the public entity, which is the government, against one of its own, and they will always eat the little one alive. Now, Davis doesn't object to issuing marriage licenses now that the state legislature has changed the law so her name is not on the license. Because you a bitch. She has been in the clerk's office for nearly 3 decades, most of the time working for her mother until she retired. Davis was elected in 2014 as a Democrat. But after same-sex marriage became legal, the state then Democratic governor refused to issue an executive order to remove the names of clerks from marriage licenses. Davis says she felt betrayed by her party and switched her registration to Republican. Davis's new political party could be a problem in Rowan County. While Republican Donald Trump overwhelmingly won the county during the 2016 presidential election, nearly all the local elected officials are Democrats and always have been. Yeah, you done fucked up now, Kim Davis. You done fucked up now. Because when you let your personal feelings get involved with your government job, you pretty much said, as a representative of the government, no. And I remember that fucking huge stint and bullshit. I remember how much of a headache it fucking was. And how many times every fucking day, Kim Davis is outstanding. No, you're a fucking woman that couldn't do her goddamn job. Comparatively to the cake case, Cakegate. There we go. This is a person that refused to do his job based off of religious reasons in a private setting. That lawsuit I can understand. Kim Davis, you're a fucking shitbag. I hope David Ermold gets your fucking seat. I hope that he can sit there and go, fuck you. I'm running it. I got this. I'm the county clerk. By the way, put my name on top of that sheet. Everybody's getting married. Because that would be a great way to just smack in the face of, you fucked up. The constituency knows you fucked up. And they want someone effective in here. Granted, I don't know what his background is, or if he has any background in public service, or if he's worked at all in any capacity that's comparable to a county clerk. But I hope he does fucking well. And if I was in Kentucky, he would get my vote just for the sole factor of laughing in the face of Kim Davis and the stupidity of, I can do what I want because I'm in the public sector. Oh, I fucking hate people. Goddamn. And yeah, Spencer, I see what you say about the cake case. You know, it's a small business, and if you had a small business, I would want my kids working there starting from the bottom and working up to take over one day. And I completely understand that. However, if you have your kids or your wife or your mom or whatever as your employees, the headache presents itself, especially in this case, if the state is requiring you to put out this mandatory training and you yourself have to administer it. I think the best analogy, better yet, fuck what I just said. Think of this. You're about to walk up on stage to a podium and talk about abortion. You are 100% pro-life. 100% pro-life. There's nothing you can change. But I walk up behind you and I put a loaded 45 behind your head and I say, you will say that every woman, regardless if they want the child or not, should get an abortion in the first trimester. Or I'll kill you. Now, most people don't want to die over such a trivial thing. So most people would say every woman should get an abortion in the first trimester, contrary to their personal beliefs. Effectively, that's what was done here in a matter of free speech, was that to his own family, who knew his beliefs, he had to say to them, he was compelled to say to them, listen, I know how the family feels about homosexuality and gay marriage, but you know what, we can't do that because we're business owners and we have to serve. It's not. It's still a fucked up thing. It's still, discrimination based off religious opinion. It's a nice way to put it, but shit. That's what he did. That's what he had to do. Because if he didn't, he'd lose his business because he wasn't complying with anti-discrimination laws, or as it's properly referred to, as I go back to it right now to call it, the thingamabobber. That one law. Fuck it. But you get the point I'm making. That essentially a loaded gun was put to his head saying you have to say this, but what he had to say conflicted with his personal beliefs, and that's what the court case is about. See, a lot of people think, is it about him selling the cake or refusing to sell the cake? It's what they're suing over is the free exercise of speech. And it's a truly fucked up lawsuit because they're suing over free speech and freedom of choice and freedom of religion and their free exercise rights, freedom to live your life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it looks like the Baker's going to win, especially with Kennedy, who's usually used as a tiebreaker. It looks like Kennedy's going to be able to say, fuck off. He's right. And I go back to this, is that the only cake shop in the area? Correct. You're right. Is that the only cake shop in the area? No, it probably isn't. However, Justice Ginsburg, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, brought up an excellent point. And I loved this point as I was reading the transcript. She brings up a remote military base, hypothetically, where there is hypothetically only 2 cake shops. And there is a gay couple at the military base that wants to get married and have a wedding cake. So they go to Cake Shop A, and Cake Shop A affirms with what Jack Phillips and Masterpiece Cake Cake Shop does, and says, I'm sorry, that's against my religion. So then they go to Cake Shop B. And remember, there's only 2. And they say the same thing. That's the headache that's unfurling here, is where is a lawful refusal of service? When is a lawful refusal of service applicable when it comes to your First Amendment, your freedom of religion, when it comes to your freedom of speech? Because cakes are considered art. Hilariously enough, a lot of the things we do and see throughout the day are considered art that you wouldn't think as art or free speech. A cake is considered free speech. So is a photograph. So is anything that exists outside of a person, off of a person's body. So, like how I have my setup for my radio show for Jose's Taco Truck. Technically, the exact way I had this set up, dip bottles and all, is protected under free speech. Because it is my representation to you guys of how, of my opinions and my voice and everything. It's protected under free speech. How I had this set up with the mic stand to my left and my keyboard in front of me and my cell phone sitting on my monitor, stuff like that, it's protected. Hairstyles aren't, because there's no permanency. There's no way to establish permanency. Food is protected because food is recreatable, and that's where the headache comes in. Food is recreatable. Food is protected by free speech. A person's free speech is also tied to their freedom of religion, and their speech conveys their message. If a person who is against homosexuality bakes a cake for a homosexual couple for their wedding, a custom cake, by the way, not a pre-made. It's custom items. Pre-mades are not considered as free as the others. But a custom cake, then that baker's expression is what's considered free speech, and he's representing himself as supporting homosexuality. And that's where the headache is like, wait, what? Huh? Yeah. Have pie. Have pie. Everybody likes fucking pie. Have a wedding pie. There you go, Spencer. We found a solution. Shut the fuck up. Go to Walmart. Get a wedding pie. Fuck yeah. Let's do that. Oh, okay. We're going to go with the last follow-up article from Tuesday. Okay, so Tuesday we talked about the lovely, wonderful FBI dealing with the ATS 4,000 some odd requests to take guns away from people that weren't supposed to have guns. Well, here we go. Military Times. DOD failed to file hundreds of military criminal fingerprints with FBI. The military failed to submit fingerprints of convicted service members in hundreds of cases between 2015 and 2016 alone, the Pentagon's Inspector General reported Tuesday, as the military continues to try to find answers in the mass shooting at a Texas church in November that killed 26. God damn it, DOD. This is the reason why we can't have beards, because you can't even get something as simple as fucking emailing over a list of fucking fingerprints. Oh, you know, we have these fingerprints of people that committed felonies inside the military. Yeah, this is a very important thing. We should definitely get over to our top investigative agency for dealing with crime, which would be the FBI. You know, that's a very good idea, General. Hey, let's make sure we do that on Monday. But it is Monday. We'll make sure it's done by next Monday. What? This is the part I don't fucking understand. Supposedly, there's so much communication that happens. There's all this fucking internet traffic and all this fucking phone traffic. We even have a building dedicated to all these organizations communicating with each other. You know, it's got 5 sides, rhymes with fucking hexagon. And, sure as fucking shit, we can't get over to the FBI fingerprints. Fucking fingerprints. Bro, I got a fucking Canon printer that I can plop these bitches on, scan them as I go, and email them like that. I mean, just a finger snap and bam, I got you at least. I can send a 2 gigabyte email. You're getting 2 gigabytes worth of fingerprints in every email. You sort them out. I just need to get them to you. Why the fuck is this so hard to understand? It's not like you have to fucking send them to fucking the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the Alabama Bureau of Investigation, the Georgia Bureau. No, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. That's all you have to send them to. That's fucking it. One person, one group of individuals that receive these. But, you know, hundreds of cases between 2015 and 2016. There we fucking go. Congratulations. You've proven how effective of a military we have at bureaucracy. Apparently, it takes me a year to go through fucking ACAP or SFL-TAP or whatever the fuck they're calling it these days. It takes me a whole fucking year to do fucking 8 hours worth of classes, but apparently, you can't fucking take 20 minutes to fucking email the scanned fingerprints that fucking CID has on file of people that committed felonies or crimes in the military. Way to fucking go. See, God damn it, Chris. It was Comcast's fault. Yeah, you're fucking right. It was Comcast's fault. See, that's the part that frustrates me about, like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I have entertained thoughts of going back in. Entertained. And every time I entertain these thoughts, something like this pops up, and I look at it going, I don't know if my wife would be able to handle the stupidity. And you gotta think, this is my second marriage. I picked a much better woman the first time, but I don't think my wife has the patience to deal with this level of stupidity. I mean, for fuck's sake. All right, let's get to the article before I go insane. In the weeks since the shooting, the Air Force and all the services have been directed by Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, all praise be the patron saint of chaos, to do an extensive review of the way convictions within the military justice system are communicated to federal law enforcement. On Tuesday, the IG found significant holes remain that in 1 out of every 4 cases, so 25%, where fingerprints should have been provided to the FBI, they weren't. All right, save my comments. The failure to report the information with all the required fingerprint records can allow someone to purchase a weapon who should not, hinder criminal investigations, and potentially impact law enforcement and national security interests, the Department of Defense Inspector General found. Of the 2,502 criminal convictions of the military service members between January 1st, 2015 and December 31st, 2016, that were required by law to be reported to the FBI, the military failed to provide federal law enforcement fingerprints for the individuals in 601 cases. Separately, the services were also required to submit a final disposition report on those convictions, a summary of the convictions and charges that provide law enforcement necessary background information on an individual. In those same 2,502 cases, the response was even worse. The service failed to provide that information in 780 of the cases. I pray for you, my patron saint of chaos, Secretary Mattis. I pray that your knife hand doesn't rip in half the Inspector General's asshole. Okay, 25%. 25% of all fucking criminal convictions in the military service. And the DoD failed to provide federal law enforcement fingerprints for the individuals. I should expect less because I get it. It's inter-service or intergovernment communication. But it's not a matter of, like, troop movement or fucking where did these M4s go, you know, something benign. Well, if M4s disappeared, that wouldn't be very benign. No. This is a bunch of idiots who can't seem to get their head out their ass that their 4-day weekend can't fucking start until they get these goddamn mandatory fucking information over to the goddamn investigating organization for the fucking government. I mean, for Christ's sake, an email is not that fucking hard. And if it can't be sent by email, you know, you're in the fucking Department of Defense. If you need to catch a ride to fucking DC, it ain't that hard to hop on a fucking C-130 or a 747 or a 777 or fucking whatever. If you need to hand deliver this shit, which I doubt you need to do. But apparently, we have gentlemen in our fucking military that are way too fucking lazy to even fucking consider a way to get this very important information to the FBI so that the National Background Check, the NICS, National Investigative Criminal Survey Background Check, can actually get fucking updated so that we don't have another fucking shitbag that couldn't hack it in the goddamn military go out and pick up some goddamn fucking firearms and shoot up a fucking church. Or a school. I mean, shit, wasn't it? I think it was today. I think it was happening today. I'm checking it right now, so I don't sound like a fucking idiot. Yeah. There's a school shooting happening right now. There's a school shooting happening in Arizona. I'm sorry, New Mexico. New Mexico. 2 students killed. The shooter is dead as well. It's a developing situation. I hope to fucking God, I pray that this jackass that did this is not prior service and did not get convicted of a crime in the military. Because then, what the fuck is the DOD going to say? What the hell is the DOD going to be able to say in their defense to 601 fingerprints not getting filed with the FBI and these disposition reports on the summaries of convictions and charges not getting filed, the 780 of those? That's even more. That's 30%, roughly. 29, 28. But still, over a quarter of these fucking documents not getting... I mean, I get it. I get it. There's always going to be, with large organizations, there's always going to be slowdown. There's always going to be bureaucracy. I understand it. This is something that should not have bureaucracy. This is something to where there should be a dedicated fucking tunnel to where, bam, hey, this person committed this crime. FBI just wanted you to know. Well, thank you, random sheriff's deputy from fucking bumfuck Alabama. I appreciate that. I mean, for fuck's sake. If a dude who gets a fucking DUI and gets a manslaughter charge is put in the fucking system 3 days after his conviction, which, I gotta say, it's a pretty good turnaround. How the fuck? You had 2 years. 2 years. This is over 2 years. And you, for 2 years, 25% didn't go in. Did y'all really need those 4 days? Mr. Input Admin Clerk? Did you really need those fucking 4 days? Couldn't you take a Friday to come into work and knock that shit out? You're still getting paid for that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday for that 4 day. You work in the fucking government. You get paid for 7 days a week. Each day's got a value. You could have taken an hour to fucking do this. But no, you had to be a fucking shitbag. You had to fucking skip out on shit and not put it. And the worst part is, it doesn't even specify if it was just laziness, if it was just, oh, they got misplaced. There's no actual reason. So I'm just having supposition on why this failed. But goddamn it sounds like fucking laziness. It reeks to me of just lazy. I hate people. I hate all white people. There you go. I hate everyone. God damn. You know, part of me sitting there, it's like, oh, it's 2 o'clock. I should take a break. And no, fuck it. I'm just rolling right there. I'm on a fucking roll. I'm heated. All right. Let's get to some new shit. So, for all of you who were excited, oh, they were too busy in their government-mandated classes. You're absolutely right. They were too busy in their government-mandated classes. Okay, so all you who are hoping for Mike Pence to become the president, I'm sorry, you fucking lost. Because the Trump impeachment vote fails overwhelmingly. House Democrats overwhelmingly joined Republicans on Wednesday to defeat an attempt to impeach President Donald Trump. What the fuck is going on? But 58 Democrats supported the bid to consider impeachment over the objections of House Democratic leaders who viewed the measure as a distraction in a Republican-controlled Congress. The motion to sideline the measure, killing the effort, was approved 364 to 58, with 4 Democrats voting present. The vote was forced by Representative Al Green, Democrat, Texas, who introduced articles of impeachment describing Trump as a bigot who incites hate and has demeaned the presidency. Donald Trump, by causing such harm to the society of the United States, is unfit to be president and warrants impeachment, trial, and removal from office. Green said on the House floor as he introduced the articles. But Green, a 7-term Houston area lawmaker, said his conscience compelled him to push forward with the measure, even though he acknowledged he was unlikely to succeed. Now is not the time to consider articles of impeachment, Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi and Minority Whip Steny Hoyer said in a joint statement shortly after Green introduced his articles of impeachment. You're an idiot. First of all, oh, God. Okay, KJ, focus here. This is probably the only thing in Congress for the past fucking year that I've seen the entire Congress go, you know what? This is a bad idea. Not the tax bill. Not the fucking Affordable Care Act destroyed. And not having a suitable replacement. Not anything else that could have possibly been beneficial or detrimental even for our country. No. Everybody fucking gets behind on let's not impeach Trump. So either, to my Democrats who listen, either your fucking representatives are bullshitting you about the whole, oh, Trump's a bad guy, and they all think he's fucking great. Because, I mean, Nancy Pelosi, now is not the time to consider articles of impeachment. I mean, shit. And the whip, the minority whip, Steny Hoyer, the guy whose job it is to whip votes in favor of bills. Both of them were like, now's not the time to consider articles of impeachment. That's not a good idea. What the fuck is it the time for to consider? Is it the tax plan that's absolutely fucking back-ass crazy and we can't fucking decide whether or not we're giving fucking Walt Disney and fucking Apple's a 55% deduction in their taxes, which is an overestimate, I'm just fucking rattling? Or is it the fucking time to fucking decide how we're gonna fucking make sure everybody can find a way to get affordable health care? You know, I'm 26 fucking years old. I got easily another 60, 70 years on this goddamn earth in this lovely country of mine. But, you know, shit that happens now is going to affect me 5, 10, 20 years later. So, of course, no. Apparently, articles of impeachment is the one thing we can all agree on. Well, you know what? We can't agree on taxes. We can't agree on fucking healthcare. We can't agree on spending. We can't agree on our budget. But you know what? We think the president should definitely stay in office. Great. Then push through some of his policies. Let's get something out there. I mean, for fuck's sake. Which then begs an even bigger question. How many of these fucking Democrats that fucking voted against his impeachment, how many of them actually support the president? And not because he's the president, but because, well, not because he's the, in quotation marks, the president, but because he's trying to do something different and do a decent job. Granted, I will sit there and say I am not a huge proponent of President Trump. I don't like a lot of his policies, but he's doing something. I don't like a lot of his staff. I don't like his cabinet, but he's doing something. I mean, for fuck's sake. Let's continue on reading about this monstrosity. It's disappointing that extremists in Congress still refuse to accept the president's decisive victory in last year's election, spokesman Raj Shah said in a statement. Their time would be better spent focusing on tax relief for American families and businesses and working to fund our troops and veterans through the holiday season rather than threaten a government shutdown. Fucking thank you! But this proves that we can all agree on one thing. This literally proves, I mean, if I was a representative in the Congress, be it the House of Representatives or Senator, I would be, every fucking time it came to vote, hey, remember, we all voted against the impeachment. We all wanted him to stay in. And everybody who voted for it is going, oh, shit, he's got me by the balls. I can sit there and go, you're goddamn right I do. Green's articles of impeachment cite Trump's remarks in the aftermath of the white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, as well as his attacks on Representative Frederica Wilson, a Democrat from Florida, and his repeated criticism of NFL players who have protested abuse by police officers by kneeling during the national anthem. Friends, whether we like it or not, we now have a bigot in the White House who incites hatred and hostility, he wrote in a letter to colleagues on Tuesday. How? First of all, we'll backtrack to Charlottesville. Both parties were equally shitty. White supremacists and neo-Nazis are cunts. And furthermore, Antifa are assholes. I don't know what's going on with Representative Frederica Wilson, and I don't care. And the criticism of the NFL, we don't pay you to kneel, we pay you to fucking carry a ball from one point to the other. Take a book from fucking my favorite quarterback, fucking Tom Brady. You don't pay me for my opinion while I'm on the field unless it's about football. God damn. Leave it to the fucking American Congress, who can't get their fucking head out of the ass of shit that will actually fucking affect the people. But apparently, Mike Pence, we can't have Mike Pence. Let's keep Donald Trump in office. The fuck do you think? You guys are the most back-ass for Congress. Fuck it. I'm 2020, KJ, running for fucking Tennessee. I'm running for the fucking Republican chair for the Senate. Boom. Vote for me. Watch for my name on the docket. I'll be fucking 27 years old. I'll have enough fucking life experience under my belt. People are going to have to fight me for that thing. On the campaign trail in fucking Tennessee. Yeah, well, you know nothing about taxes. Yeah, well, you know nothing about fucking common sense, apparently. Oh, God. All right. All right, who wants to talk about our favorite monster, the VA? I see a pay-per-view cage match in order. Antifa versus Neo-Crazies. Fuck yeah, I'd watch that. I'd watch the fuck out of that. The fucking neo-Nazi gets a fucking metal swastika and the Antifa guy gets a fucking hammer and sickle. Steel cage match. A sharpened swastika versus a hammer and sickle. Let's see who fucking wins. Socialism or fucking fascism. You got me there, Spence. It would pay for the wall. Fuck yeah, it would. Alright, let's go to the VA. God help us. Okay, which one do I want to talk about? The doctors or the homeless? Put your votes in now. Doctors or the homeless? I have an idea. Let's do the first one. VA cuts program for homeless vets after touting Trump's commitment. Holy fucking shit. The VA going back on something they said. Who the fuck thought they would do that? But wait a minute. Aren't they a fucking government agency and aren't they supposed to support us? Well, apparently they're more concerned about killing us, but you know, what the fuck ever. 4 days after Veteran Affairs Secretary David Shulkin held a big Washington event to tout the Trump administration's promises to house all homeless vets, the agency did an about-face telling advocates it was pulling resources from a major housing program. The VA said it was essentially ending a special $460 million program that has dramatically reduced homelessness among chronically sick and vulnerable veterans. Instead, the money would go to local VA hospitals that can use it as they like, as long as they show evidence of dealing with homeless. Okay. Okay, hold on. I'll hold my comments. Anger exploded on December 1st, call that was arranged by Shulkin's Advisory Committee on Homeless Veterans to explain the move. Advocates for veterans, state officials, and even officials from HUD, which co-sponsors the program, attacked the decision according to 5 people who were on the call. I don't understand why you're pulling the rug out. Alicia Harig-Blaine, a National League of Cities housing official who was on the call, said in an interview afterwards, "You're putting at risk the lives of men and women who serve the country." The VA is taking its foot off the pedal, said Leon Winston, an executive at Swords to Plowshares, which helps homeless vets in San Francisco, where he said the VA decision is already having an impact. HUD recently put up 100 housing vouchers for veterans in the program, but the local VA hospital said it can only provide support for 50. The agency's move came as HUD on Wednesday released its annual survey showing a 1.5% increase in veteran homelessness over 2016, the first rise since 2010. Most of the jump occurred in Los Angeles, where housing costs are skyrocketing. Why? Why are you... Okay, so Nashville has a very bad homeless problem. We have a bad homeless problem. And one of the biggest things I like about Nashville is everything here in the city is handled like a round table of sort. Even our Antifa movement here, our Black Lives Matter movement here, it isn't the usual, oh, hey, let's go rah, rah, rah. It's a, what's going on? Okay, we don't agree with this. Here's why. It's rational. And I don't know why Nashville's like this, but apparently it's the country music. I have to say, it's country music in Main Street, Broadway, where you can just get a drink and relax and everyone can talk. But our homeless population here is smart. Instead of running the same rackets and doing things like that, they congregate, they share, they focus on doing that newspaper thing where they get like 40 cents or 50 cents on the dollar. They form their communities, they try to stay out of the way, and you notice that no one really stays in the camps for very long, not because they're dead, but they're moving up in the world. So there's many times, like there's a guy that I'll get used to seeing, and he's disappeared, and then I'll run into him somewhere like a fucking McDonald's or whatever, and he's, freshly shaven, or he's clean cut in a way, and, things are going well for him. That's one of the things what I like about my city. So this program here, I know it's been used by our homeless veterans. I've seen the effects from it. It's outstanding. But when you look at cities that don't have the kind of infrastructure that Nashville has, where we habitually police are looking out for firemen are looking out for postal workers are looking out for Antifa's watching out for corruption in the government. The government is coordinating with Black Lives Matter over remember the whole statue thing, where we have one that no one really likes, and everyone's kind of like, why is it here? So, and that was the supposed first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. It's things like that we watch out for. But if you look at Los Angeles, that is just a sprawling megacity. People get lost in the cracks. These programs are invaluable there. And of course, this is a program that assigns case managers to mediate with landlords, pay bills, and help them access agency services and jobs, get off the streets. And we're cutting it in half. We're cutting it out completely and giving that money to the VA hospitals. They have to prove it's being used for homelessness. But the harsh reality is the VA hospitals have so much shit going down already. And we'll see that in a second. It's appalling. You can't... These hospitals, who we expect to help us, be healthy and stay alive and correct any injuries or reimburse us for any, sit there and now are in charge of making sure our homeless veterans, it's going to overburden. It's going to tax them out. They're not going to be able to do what they need to do, and this money will get lost in the cracks. And lo and behold, someone will find the money that's lost in the cracks, and then we have an extortion thing or a embezzlement thing. There we go. And you're right, big cities that don't have military bases close usually don't have a big outreach to veterans, and I see that, Spencer. But like a city that I know, like Tampa, they've got MacDill right there. There's always something going on in Tampa. New York, I've noticed when I lived in New York and I was in New York City and Manhattan, it was very heavy into the, what are you doing out here, brother? And getting them out of there. There's programs, and it's a good, effective program, but for fuck's sake, the VA has the responsibility to ensure resources go where they best align with veterans' needs. Our agency spokesperson, Curtis Cashore, said, "This gives more control and management of resources to local VA facilities, which know their communities and the veterans that they serve better than anyone else." Granted, this is being said knowing that you have these same places are the ones that have 6-month, 8-month, 12-month, 15-month wait times. These are the same places that you'll hear someone going in and has to go in for inpatient care, and they got bed sores. That's a previous story that happened, not anything current that I know of. That's why I completely support the whole privatize the VA, because it's one of those things where if you privatize the VA, at least the medical side of things, and you leave the VA to actually deal with, let's say, you leave them to deal with homelessness, reintegration, getting jobs, getting back into civilian life, stuff like that, and the housing, all that shit. You take that big burden of the medical off of it and you give it to private practitioners, and we, like TRICARE, you keep us on TRICARE, and we can go see TRICARE people that accept TRICARE insurance. Then the beautiful thing is, we can pick the doctor we want to see. We can pick the doctor that's going to provide us the best care. We can cover our medical side of things. We're pretty adult enough to realize, if a doctor's fucking with us. Because if we're not feeling better, then we're going to go somewhere else. But homelessness creeps up on you. And it gets to a point, especially someone who's been there, it gets to a point to where you don't realize you're about to get sucked under this wave until it's literally right there looking over your shoulder going, "Hey there, buddy, what you doing? You about to lose your house, your car, about to lose all connections to your family and everything? Not a problem. Just come on with me. Let's go hang out under a bridge." And that's what happens. And it's fucking disgusting that, okay, yes, you're saying resources to local VAs, which know their communities and the veterans they serve better than anyone else. But a lot of homeless veterans don't usually end up getting to the VA because they also have to budget into their day, getting money, eating, walking, if they have a vehicle, maintaining the vehicle, etc. This is not going to be a good solution or a good choice. It's appalling that this program gets cut and given to the local VAs, which don't even have a good idea of who the fuck's in their community. Furthermore, the decision affects $265 million immediately, and it diverts another $195 million under the VA's 2018 budget. So it's going to offer housing vouchers for veterans, and the VA provides case management, but it's now going to start incorporating the local VAs, and we all know how the local VAs are already drowning. So, woo fucking who. God help us. Furthermore, continuing with my VA binge of fuckery, a U.S. Today investigation. The VA knowingly hires doctors with past malpractice claims and discipline for poor care. So these same local VAs are going to have dealing with the homelessness on top of dealing with this new issue of let's hire doctors with past malpractice claims. For example, neurosurgeon John Henry Schneider racked up more than a dozen malpractice claims and settlements in 2 states, including cases alleging he made surgical mistakes that left patients maimed, paralyzed, or dead. He was accused of costing one patient bladder and bowel control after placing spinal screws incorrectly, and he allegedly left another paralyzed from the waist down after placing a device improperly in his spinal canal. The state of Wyoming revoked his medical license after another surgical patient died. Then he applied for a job earlier this year at the Department of Veteran Affairs Hospital in Iowa City, Iowa. He was forthright in his application about the license revocation and other malpractice troubles. The VA hired him anyway. He worked in April at a hospital that serves 184,000 veterans in 50 counties in Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri. Some of his patients already have suffered complications. He performed 4 brain surgeries in the span of 4 weeks on one 65-year-old veteran who died in August, according to interviews with Schneider and family members. He's performed 3 spine surgeries on a 77-year-old Army veteran since July, the last 2 to try to clean up a lumbar infection from the first, the patient said. Schneider's hiring is not an isolated case. No fucking shit. But let's hear about the worst of it. A VA hospital in Oklahoma knowingly hired a psychiatrist previously sanctioned for sexual misconduct who went on to sleep with a VA patient, according to internal documents. A Louisiana VA clinic hired a psychologist with felony convictions. The VA ended up firing him after they determined he was a direct threat to others and the VA's mission. As a result of USA Today's investigation of Schneider, VA officials determined his hiring, and potentially that of an unknown number of doctors, was illegal. Hold the fuck on. Wait a goddamn minute. You're fucking wrong. First of all, you're right. It was goddamn illegal. But then why the fuck did you give him the tools, location, and ability to continue practicing? First of all, this motherfucker doesn't malpractice more than a dozen malpractice claims and settlements in 2 states, including cases alleging he made surgical mistakes that left patients maimed, paralyzed, or dead. And the state of Wyoming revoked his medical license. This motherfucker is a butcher, and you guys fucking hired him and let him work on my brothers and sisters? What the fuck? For fuck's sake. No fucking shit, it's illegal. But you fucking hired him, and he was forthcoming with it. He said this shit happened. He said about the malpractice troubles. He told you about the license revocation, and you fucking hired him? Is the VA that pressed for doctors? This ain't fucking goddamn Bolivia from Ghost Recon where fucking failed doctors are stitching up cocaine in fucking women's tits. This is the goddamn United States of America. We should have some of the best goddamn medical care, especially for our veterans. But you go on and hire a neurosurgeon who has left patients maimed, paralyzed, or dead, allegedly. A fucking psychiatrist with sexual misconduct by sleeping with a VA patient. Good fucking job there. And then another psychologist with felony convictions who is a direct threat to others. Let's continue this fuckery. Federal law bars the agency from hiring physicians whose license has been revoked by a state board, even if they still hold an active license in another state. Schneider still had a license in Montana, even though his Wyoming license was revoked. Federal law bars the agency from hiring physicians whose licenses have been revoked. VA spokesman Kurt Kishore, this guy again, said agency officials provided hospital officials in Iowa City with incorrect guidance greenlighting Schneider's hire. The VA moved to fire Schneider last Wednesday. He resigned instead. Kishore said that the VA would look into whether other doctors had been improperly hired. We'll take the same prompt removal action with any other improper hires we discover. For fucking... Are you fucking kidding me? This is the most horrifying thing. Horrifying thing I could ever read. That you guys, my brothers, my sisters, my extended family in the military, especially you folks that could have gone to this medical center in Iowa or Louisiana or Oklahoma. Sexual misconduct. A psychologist, someone you have to tell your innermost thoughts and fears and desires to, who could be a direct threat to you and dangerous. And a neurosurgeon that while you're under the knife and sedated, 4 brain surgeries on 1 veteran, 3 spine surgeries on an Army veteran. It is abysmal that he even got hired. And then federal law bars the agency from hiring physicians whose licenses have been revoked. The fucking... Oh. You fucked up there. You should have every motherfucker that was involved in that hiring process, and not the immediates that went for the guidance. The people that went for the guidance were doing what they were told. All right? At some point, they passed the buck went to the next person, and the buck stopped there. Pardon me. God damn, I'm so sorry about that. Ugh. And that's why you don't drink. I was talking and drinking, and my own fucking fault. Guess I should go to the VA. They make it quicker.
But the people that greenlighted that doctor to get hired, gone. Because God knows how many other people they allowed to get hired that had similar circumstances that ruined them. Yeah, I know. Breathe. I'm sorry, Sean, about that. Drinking, talking, not a good combination. Now, Kishore is saying that the agency is also instituting an independent third-party clinical review of the care Schneider provided with complications in Iowa City, and Schneider maintained that he had not provided substandard care. He blamed poor outcomes for patients on other providers involved in their treatment or on unfortunate complications not caused by his care. Now, Schneider said his insurance company decided to sell some of his prior cases regardless of their merit, and he filed an appeal of the Wyoming revocation, a case that's still pending. I'm a neurosurgeon. Neurosurgeons across the country get litigation because of the complications related to surgery. Of 15 malpractice complaints identified by USA Today, 4 were settled and 2 were dropped by plaintiffs. So 6 total. 6 more were deemed valid by a trustee after Schneider filed bankruptcy in 2014, court records show. The trustee rejected the other claims. One malpractice lawyer and neurosurgeon who was not familiar with Schneider's case said that in general, having a dozen malpractice claims in as many years raised red flags. That's certainly not unusual. It's definitely an outlier, said Larry Schlaughter. That's a great name for a neurosurgeon, too. Larry Schlaughter, author of Malpractice, a neurosurgeon reveals how our healthcare system puts patients at risk. For Schneider's former patients and their family members, news of his hiring at the VA and return to the operating room after his Wyoming license was revoked came as a shock. Sherry Lee says, "What in the world?" who's awaiting payment for a malpractice complaint against Schneider after a failed neck surgery in Wyoming 2012. She says it left her in debilitating pain with difficulty speaking and swallowing. How does this happen, especially with a neurosurgeon? She continues. I don't know, but apparently the VA likes to hire people that, have malpractice claims and get licenses revoked because they don't fucking vet. And that is the horrifying thing here. Dr. Schneider, he's a physician and surgeon and dispute resolution specialist. He's what is he? He's a partner and director of business development at Yellowstone Neurosurgical Association, founder of Partner Capital Claim Association of America, founder of the Northern Rockies Neuroscience Center of Excellence, founder and director Northern Rockies Neuroscience Foundation, founder of Northern Rockies Neurospine LLC, president and CEO of Northern Rockies Insurance Group. This guy is in charge of no less than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 organizations, of which 11 of them involve medicine. And this motherfucker got to work on my brothers and sisters. He put one, allegedly, in the grave. And the other one got a lumbar infection. What the fuck? What the blue bloody hell is going on with the VA? They get rid of our homeless programs. They get rid of, to help homeless veterans get off the streets. They get rid of, they hire doctors which are criminals or sexual deviants or just can't be a doctor. And stuff like this slips through the cracks, and we suffer. This is why I say privatize the VA, at least medically. Because if you privatize it, you give us all TRICARE, all of us, I mean every single swinging dick, then bam, it's solved. And people that get 10%, 20, 100, problems can be solved. We can find a doctor we trust. We can find a specialist we trust. Because right here, I would never go back to the VA after this. I'm afraid to even look up my local ones here in Nashville and see who they've hired and any of the stuff they have on behind them. Jesus. some more stuff about the vetting process with the VA. Applicants are vetted, educations and licenses are verified, references checked, interviews conducted, and clinical hires or review and approval by a professional standards board is also required. Phone number to call is 415-889-8367. 415-889-8367.
Call the show now at 415-889-8367.
I look forward to you calling, Spence. But just, jeezy, crazy. That's insane. Why would they allow these people in even this setting? That's just, I don't know. Hey, welcome to WTF Nation Radio. You're live on the air. Who dis?
Hey, KJ, it's Spencer.
What's up, brother?
Hey, so 2 things, and I see the plus side of privatization of the VA. I get it. Choose your own doctor. I'm all for that. I'm 100%. Through the VA, so I can do and go anywhere and get all the care I need. I'm lucky in that. On the flip side, I see privatization being like Medicare, Medicaid, where doctors won't take those type of patients because they don't get paid enough. And that's just the free market, because it's government mandated. We're only going to pay, a service costs $100, but the government says we're only going to pay you $25. And so it hurts the free market.
Well, now, one of the headaches with that point is I wish, and this is going to sound really weird, but I wish that medical expenses were government mandated. And the issue is that they're not. And things like back in the early times before insurance came around, if you had, like, for example, I bust my knee. My knee would have cost me about $300-$500. And that would have been for the X-rays, the cast, and the aftercare, not including physical therapy. So we'll say with physical therapy, $750. But with insurance, at the invention of insurance came the invention of the charge master. And each hospital, and this is where things get really fucky, each hospital has their own charge master. So each different hospital chain has their own charge master, where they charge people for their services. And you may get, for example, here in Nashville, you have TriStar, and you have TriStar Skyline, or TriStar in general, and then you have Vanderbilt. If I'm passed out in the back of an ambulance and I can't say which hospital I want to go to, they're going to take me right away to Vanderbilt. Not because it's better care, but because the company that owns the ambulance
because they get
company
paid more.
Gets paid more. Because my neck brace at Vanderbilt is $780, and my neck brace at TriStar is $300. When in reality, it's $15 at Walmart.
And I completely get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And with that, and I use this analogy because I've been there in a different industry. When it comes to, again, the free market, when it comes to things, when I first got out of the military, when I was fighting the VA for, services, I was only first rated at 50%. So I had to go get a job, and I sold cars for a little bit. And I always sat there and I wondered, why does this Ford or this car cost so much? And it's not because I'm paying that much for the car. I'm paying that much for the innovation being created to create the next car. So when it comes to, expanding on medical, we're paying for the future. And we're paying for the innovation. So when I go in now to pay for the MRI that's going to cost $2,000, it's not paying for that machine. It's paying for the machine in the future that will now be able to see every cell in my body in a different way. And so we're paying for that innovation forward.
Which is fantastic, but the harsh reality is that, and I've spoken to several people in the medical field, these machines cost thousands upon thousands of dollars. So, of course, an MRI machine or, we'll go with an MRI machine. And we'll say it costs $5,000 for version 1. Version 2 comes out next year. It's $7,500. But it isn't the price of the machines that's the issue. And furthermore, the doctors can't purchase the machines. It's the company. It's the company that runs the hospital. And they have to deal with not only the insurance, who demands that their people pay a certain price, that those insured under them pay a certain price, but it's also that the doctors now, okay, these people will only come to us and they'll supply us with these people only if we charge them $25 a visit. Okay, well, we'll make it $75 so that we can get that $50 we originally would charge from the insurance, and then whatever. The issue here is that the hospital itself needs to purchase the equipment. And the hospital itself is treating medicine which is normally supposed to be for the common good, like a business. And unfortunately, it wrecks me, because medicine should not be a business. I am a firm believer of medicine being medicine and healthcare being an inalienable right. I really agree with Bernie Sanders on that one. However, I disagreed with his method. You can't have free healthcare for all.
And in this, and I guess this is why I said in the comment that I see both sides of privatization.
Yeah.
Being that I'm 100% through the VA, I was told by the VFW and all these other people, well, now if you're 100%, go and get your Social Security. Okay, I'll go and apply. So I applied through that, and they sent me to privatized, quote unquote, doctors of their choosing to evaluate me. So these doctors are now under the thumb of a government agency, and they are being coerced into writing up reports that deny people. You should have seen the report that this shrink put up on me. Even though I've been for 10 years, I've been to VA doctors and have all of this, documentation of my PTSD. This one doctor spent 2 hours with me and said he is perfectly fine. So it's when you mandate the lowest price, you get the shittiest doctors. You get these assholes that have had these malpractices instead of the driven doctors that, we're in a profit design society. If a doctor is getting paid a whole bunch of money and he's doing a good job, he's going to go and do it again and again and again. If you get paid $50 regardless, what is my incentive to go out and be better? Yes, we would hope that all people are good people and want to do the right thing, but we don't live in a utopian society. We live in a shitbag world.
And a possible solution. Let's say my dream for VA healthcare goes through, and every veteran gets 100% TRICARE. We'll say just TRICARE because it's the easiest first insurance that comes to mind. Everybody gets TRICARE. Easiest way to make it to where we all get the same level of care and you don't have to worry about it. The same doctors that you make you make a solid price. Pretty much, we'll say just for a regular visit, we'll say it's $50. TRICARE pays that $50, and that's it. Doctor agrees to $50 per regular visit, per checkup, and boom, $500 for I don't know, fucking what would be a fair price for a blood transfusion, or for fucking MRI $200. But you have to find doctors that are willing to be a part of that pricing structure, and that's going to be the hard part because medicine is another industry where, because it's been so monotonized, people can make a lot of money. Like this neurosurgeon, this guy that got hired by the VA, he makes a lot of money. He's a founder and director for several different organizations that people have to pay dues, and he's operated, and even though he's got his license revoked, he makes a lot of money. There's a lot of money to be made in medicine, but that's a very dangerous demon. And when it comes to just our veteran population, privatizing just the healthcare side of things and making it to where, okay, here's your TRICARE, go. If one doctor we find that agreed to the TRICARE, that agreed to the privatization, and we'll see veterans, if one doctor doesn't fit you, go to another doctor. That's the joy. That's part of the joy of this idea is, if you don't like Dr. Joe, you can go to Dr. Jane. And if Dr. Jane tickles your balls and, tickles your balls and blows you, great, you found your doctor. But if she doesn't, go on to Dr. Billy. You never know. That allows you the ability to shop around and introduces that with, no matter what, you will find someone. Having that is
and I see that, and I see both sides. Let me give you another example. And my mom is a dentist in California.
Okay.
And she's a medical dental surgeon. She, did her residency at the VA, and saw a lot of screwed up cases. Went private. Now she moved to Central California and had her own practice, and she was seeing whoever and whenever she wanted. But she started taking a lot more of the Medicare, Medicaid, low income fixed pricing. Most of her clients that were there, they would come in, they would pay that $50. She had so many clients, so much work, but it wasn't enough to keep the business afloat. And in that, she couldn't provide for her family doing her job, because she had more than enough business, but not enough income. And on the flip side, those people that were on those, they weren't even following up with their treatment. There was no incentive. There was no, I'm paying out of my pocket to take care of my mouth. It was, somebody else is taking care of my mouth. I'm going to go in there and get it fixed for the moment, i.e. taking, like emergency room visits. And it was drowning her in that business. And so she changed up her business practice, moved her practice to a more affluent area, and she became able to take care of her family. So I see, like I said, both sides of it. If dentists or doctors are forced to take all of these patients with this fixed amount, it could drown them, and there's no incentive to do that job and do it right.
And that's a good point. That is entirely a good point. That's why you would need doctors with the experience and the passion for the art of medicine. You would need them to understand, listen, you're not going to be getting $5,000, you're not going to be pulling in paychecks of $20,000 or $30,000 a month like some neurosurgeons or private practitioners pull. You're going to be pulling in, you're going to be dropping a $2-3 grand a month, which is still a very livable wage. If you're a smart, like my household, we're a 40K household. We live very comfortably, but one person making 36 or 40K is a good number to live off of. You can't buy those Mercedes, you can't buy the BMWs, but you need to find those doctors that have the passion and the heart to deal with the veteran community who already has a huge mistrust, especially with the VA, a huge mistrust of medical practitioners. And they have to understand it's not for the money. The government's going to pay you. We're going to pay you a fair amount. You agreed to that this amount is fair. And it's not a perfect thought process or idea at the moment. I'm not a politician. I'm not a politician. I'm not a doctor. I don't know the whole pricing and how to make it fair. But it would take time, and starting it now would allow for when it came to that point where, like, my children and they enlisted, well, hopefully by then we have something in place that's a little bit better than hiring a neurosurgeon with malpractice suits and a license revoked. But hey, Spence, I appreciate your call, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
Hey, no problem. See you soon. He brings up a good point though. You know, there's joys, pros and cons of privatization. You know, especially like for the example with his mother being a dentist and the Medicaid and the Medicare. You know, yeah, but you have to find people that are willing to live at that lifestyle, that understand that it's for medicine, not that you're doing it for the betterment of your fellow man. And I know not everyone wants to do something for free, but you gotta. Some people are willing to give, some people aren't. That's why I thoroughly hate the charge master that are in the hospitals, and I thoroughly hate how the VA fucking butchered some of our brothers and sisters and assholes. Okay, so we're gonna pull in the last story of the show, then we're gonna do some house cleaning and final thoughts. Bringing it back to North Korea because everybody loves our favorite mentally ill Asian. Airlines waive risk from North Korea's missile test. As we heard, there's missile testing done. Some planes said that they saw the missile, and it was visible on radar. It was visible out the window, and of course, I made the comment of God forbid, what if one of those passenger jets got hit? Well, missiles fired in the Sea of Japan by North Korea are a threat to commercial aviation, according to the Flight Service Bureau Ops Group, which is warning its clients to consider rerouting flights to avoid the possibility of getting hit. They reported that planes flying over the Sea of Japan could be at risk of colliding with a missile or fragments of one if it breaks up, as a test missile did in July 28th. Any fragments of reasonable size hitting a tailplane, wing, or engine at 500 knots creates a significant risk of loss of control of the aircraft. The warning was published in August, after an Air France crew reported seeing a test firing. The most recent North Korean missile launched on November 29th, my birthday, and was witnessed by the crew of 3 airliners, another Air France flight, Korean Air, and Cathay Pacific Flight 893 en route to Hong Kong from San Francisco. Several other airliners were flying in the area but did not report seeing the missile. The South China Morning Post said the Cathay crew reported, "Be advised, we witnessed the DPRK missile blow up and fall apart near our current location." Juliet Jarrett, a spokeswoman for Cathay, said the airline had been in touch with authorities and other carriers, but at the moment no one is changing any routes or operating parameters. Meeting with reporters in Geneva last week, the International Air Transport Association, which represents airlines worldwide, insisted, as it has in the past, that assuring the safety of airspace and notifying airlines of risks is the responsibility of governments. In 2005, North Korea stopped issuing notifications about its test firing, and international organizations have been trying to change that, according to Nick Korean, an IATA executive in charge of security, among other things. ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization, and the UN continue to try to push for North Korea to issue alerts prior to a launch, he said. Each individual airline utilizes the information to properly risk assess their flight paths. There we go. Karine said, based on information provided to them. The frustration had been in getting information when governments often did not share it. In an interview with CNN, one aviation specialist suggests that the risks for airliners from North Korea-launched missiles was billions to one. Mark Z of Ops Group told his clients the odds are not so favorable for safety for 2 reasons. The numbers of missile firings increased from 2015, with 15 to 24 in 2016. There have been 18 this year, the first year of the testing of long-range missiles capable of hitting the United States. Additionally, the area into which the missiles are being launched has moved east outside of the North Korean airspace that airlines avoid and into the Japanese airspace regularly transited by the world's carriers. Once again, airlines are looking at North Korea and making their own risk-benefit analysis. And the common phrase being asked is, "Am I feeling lucky?" No! If you're having to risk-benefit analyze this, you're not feeling lucky. Now, I know it's a pretty big fucking world, but common sense, if they're launching them towards Japan and over Japan in the general direction of the U.S., I would either fly more north or I would fly more south, because common sense dictates to me that I would just avoid that area entirely unless I'm flying directly to Tokyo. But then again, common sense, superpower, etc. And yes, I see that, Spencer. The cost of education to become a practitioner, medical practitioner. But back to North Korea. Can we just fucking stomp them? That would just be so much easier. That would make my day. I was kind of hoping, like, on my birthday, like war was going to be declared or something, and I was going to be like, yay, and just to have a completely valid reason to look at me and say, I'm going back. I'm going back to Korea. Shoot some gooks. There we go. You know? But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. All right. That being said, let's close this up. Let's close this shop up, do some house cleaning real quick. So, as always, we have a show every night of the week. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, you have Jose's Taco Truck. We're live at noon. And it's me and Ghosty, and we'll just be chit-chatting about video games and world events and face-palming our way through the week. Thursday nights, we have Sergeant's Time with Ice and Mike Golf and Doc Madness talking about active duty Army community issues. Fridays, we have Friday Night Freedom, more freedom than anyone can handle, with Minx and Mud Puppy. Be sure to ask Minx about 19.1 inches. Saturday, you have the most savage show on the radio, Saturday Night Savagery, with Jay Reddy and Pookie. Sunday, we continue our triumphant return with The Green Room, our 420 friendly show, DD214 required to participate, if you're going to participate in that 420. Hosted by Army veterans Jason and Charlie. Monday, our flagship show, the Monday edition, hosted by Ice, tackling all the events that happened over the weekend. Tuesdays, we got, once again, Jose's Taco Truck, and Tied Up Tuesdays with Minx and Grey Cloud. And Wednesdays, currently, we are just rocking and rolling, taking our one-day rest. Top of that being said, we have some excellent guests coming up. Tonight, we have Car Santa. Cars for Heroes is a nonprofit organization that provides free, reliable transportations to veterans and their families that otherwise are not able to obtain transportation for themselves. So Car Santa is coming in tonight. I hope he brought me a 69 Shelby GT500. Next Monday, we have Officer Cole. He's a full-time police officer in Fort Worth. On his own time, and his own finances, he dresses like a superhero and visits children who are battling illnesses in hospitals all over the country. His goal is to be able to travel to all 50 states and Canada to visit children who want to see their favorite superhero. Next Thursday, we have Medal of Honor recipient Captain Florent Groberg. He's returning as a guest to let us know about what he's currently been up to and what's up with his new book, 8 Seconds of Courage, A Soldier's Story from Immigrant to Medal of Honor. On Saturday, December 16th, we have Bill Harris. He's a voluntary firefighter who chased down the terrorist in New York on October 31st. The suspect, Seyfulio Saipov, rented a truck from Home Depot that was used to mow down people in Lower Manhattan, killing 8 people. And Bill will be on to talk about his experience and how it's changed his life. Also, don't forget to check out the Secret Santa being hosted by U.S. Army WTF Moments. Please be sure to go to the page. They have a link to sign up. And all you can do is sign up on the events page by December 8th, and you'll be matched on December 9th, so you have 2 days to do it. You have 1 day to do it. You have today and tomorrow to sign up, and then try to mail your packages out by December 20th. Sooner if you receive an international match, and the spending limit's merely a suggestion, so have fun with that. And as always, please don't forget to check out our active sponsors. Project Overwatch with their Paw Patrol campaign. Listen, we talked about cameras. They're all free speech. It's even better when that free speech is being used to apprehend a criminal with a pup. They put one of these cameras right on the back of a dog. Situational awareness gets created even further. Officer and the canine can operate cohesively or independently. And it's an excellent campaign. Every dollar that you donate will go towards it. And as always, Rangers lead the way. And don't forget to check out War Horses for Veterans. 3-day horse and networking experience. Go out, nice Midwestern food, have some drinks, ride some horses, the whole kit and caboodle. You know, tell your no shit there I was stories. And eventually I'll get out there. But no, I'm still jealous of Ice and Red Lake. Got to go out there, ride some horses, have some fun. And with that being said, I just want to leave you all with this final thought. Especially about that Supreme Court case. Because it's still fucking bothering me. If you guys, we all fought, we all signed up, we all wrote that check, blah, 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 blah. This court case is going to severely dictate the direction our country takes regarding civil liberties and or free exercise rights. And whichever is decided upon, because people couldn't be fucking adults, it's gonna fucking, rights are gonna get trampled on. Remember, this country, nothing is permanent. The presidency, Congress, laws. So if we don't like something, we can do something to change that. And with that being said, I'm going to go make sure I don't choke on any more water. And I will catch you folks on Tuesday for Jose's Taco Truck. Shots!
Take this photograph, tell me what it is you see when you look at me. Deep into the photography, I don't really need your sympathy, just tell me your thoughts. Have I got what they got, and is it a plot done for naught? Am I not like you because I do what I do? Who knew that I could lose a few of you cause I bleed blue? But it's true, I know cause I see it every day as I work and I sleep the day away. Like you I have pain and like you I have fear. Can I pay all of the bills and still make it through the year? Will I make it home alive? Should I pray to the sky every day and every night? Will I hold you by my side? But in the public eye, I don't even have a heart. A robot of the system moving only when I'm told to start. Rip apart my art, I'm strong like a flower blooming. You got it all wrong, I know. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human.
Call me a vet like a soldier, Green Beret, 21 gun salute, don't wanna see the day. In the constant war zone, in the home of the brave, where they hate the police until they saving the day. I got kids like you, a mortgage like you, so blue lives matter, and so does yours too. All this separation and divide, open your eyes. If you cut us all open, we the same inside. The only difference is I run to the gunfight. Your peace when it's chaos, when the people don't act right. But I'm under scrutiny for trying to protect me. You pull a pistol and I'm shooting for trying to contest me. I got a quick second to make a deadly decision. The media portray me like a kid for a living, like I'm cold with no heart, a brain with no thoughts, a body with no feeling, a life with no cause.
Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. I'm damned if I do, and damned if I don't. It's like every single time I say what's on my mind, they go for my throat, they spew evil words. If you are absurd, always grinding, grinning, and killing my soul with these verbs. Hold me down, like I can't gasp for air. I'm closed inside of a box, like I'm inside Fort Knox. Every time that I'm there, I don't know why they think that I'm different from you. All that's true is I'm a like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.